Now, given that the Warner Brothers executives and its CEO David Zaslav are in complete panic mode over the Joker 2 box office disaster, we all know that a lot of this has to do with the fact of the way that the movie ended, the way that the movie was executed, as well as the fact that not a lot of people out there are really all sold on the idea of it being a musical. It doesn't agree with everybody, and there are also multiple reasons out there why this movie is not performing well. Now, we also know that there were a lot of scenes that were created by director Todd Phillips that were thrown into the trash, a lot of which involved specific scenes featuring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn and additional material that we never got to see, as well as flashback scenes for the character of Murray, portrayed by Robert De Niro, that got axed as well. And he's not happy about that, by the way. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, one very big thing about Joker 2 is that we know that De Niro has been taking this very personally and is in a very bitter mood after Todd Phillips, the director, Warner Brothers executives, etc., decided to get rid of the scenes that featured flashbacks of Murray, and he's not having a very good time about that at all. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot to do with De Niro's attitude toward the Warner Brothers executives, and even toward DC fans, or just the general public in general that reject Joker 2, because the amount of backlash is really kind of going back to De Niro being a part of this brand, and he's not happy that it fell pretty much upside down. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot to do with De Niro facing the consequences of bringing up inflammatory comments toward the Warner Brothers higher-ups. Let's get into this. Now, with the Joker 2 box office disaster still an ongoing issue for the Warner Brothers executives and CEO David Zaslav, one significant development going on now involves more to do with Robert De Niro and his floundering career as an actor, having, of course, a recent series of arguments with the studio heads at WB. A crucial update to the scenario now involves how De Niro had agreed to 2 mafia-driven projects to be announced, of course, and produced by Warner Brothers, that they were planning to announce, by the way, one during this holiday season, and another by the beginning of next year. After De Niro's flashback scenes were deleted from the final cut of Joker 2 and are now officially never going to be seen on the Blu-ray edition of streaming, of course, version as well, De Niro reportedly lashed out toward David Zaslav and some of the execs at WB after they revealed the real reason why they axed those scenes altogether. Now, De Niro displayed heated comments toward the CEO and studio heads, and this led to further complications with the 2 productions that they were trying to work out with Robert De Niro to kickstart his career again as an actor to return to mafia-driven roles. Now, those 2 projects are now no longer going to include De Niro as the main character and side character for the other film, after he made the inflammatory comments about his scenes for Joker 2 getting locked up in a vault, which he took very personally, along with plans for a 3rd Joker film that were going to actually bring back Murray in the form of flashbacks that also are now no longer moving ahead. These 2 mob movies are going to still move forward, but they will not feature De Niro any longer after he got fired and removed from those projects. And WB is one of the first major studios to drop De Niro from the 2 major movies that were aimed to bring back his vibes as an actor in Casino and Goodfellas. This is now completely off the table, and WB CEO David Zaslav was reportedly offended by De Niro's intense conversations that he had with him in recent days after the Joker 2 box office disaster began to spiral out of control. Now, in addition to all of this, get this, WB was also offended over how De Niro turned the press tour of Megalopolis by Lionsgate and Francis Ford Coppola into a personal issue with the general public and brought his personal beliefs into the story and press tour. This created a complete lack of trust from Warner Brothers and was best described as the final blow for Robert De Niro at WB for those 2 mafia movies. And David, of course, made a swift move to drop De Niro from those projects and those movies that are planned to drop in theaters by 2027 and 26 at this point, unless delays come into play. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about De Niro. About what he did at Lionsgate. I'm sure that you guys saw this. He really got very personal. He dragged his personal beliefs into the press tour of Megalopolis. It got so awkward to the point where Francis Coppola looked completely shocked that De Niro took this route out of nowhere. Nothing was scripted. This was completely off script, and it was completely out of Lionsgate's plan to actually have De Niro act like that. And it did take a major hit on Megalopolis. I'm not saying it's the main reason why it's failing at the box office, but it added fuel to the fire. You know, basically a lot of people boycotted that movie just because of De Niro's comments and how he dragged his personal beliefs into Megalopolis. It got things mixed up a lot. It made people believe that De Niro was, you know, a major role in that movie when really it was all about Adam Driver. But what's interesting about this too is that on top of that, Robert is already demanding WB to reverse action. However, Zaslav is standing still and not falling to any requests or demands. WB, however, has other projects also associated with De Niro that they are now about to fire and remove him from as well. Though those are said to be more minor roles for the time being, De Niro is reportedly not taking this well and taking it very personally. And you know what? The reason why I think he's taking it so personally is that so many people in this country, so many people around the entire world, really reject Robert De Niro as of late, based on how crazy he's been acting lately, based on how, you know, insane he really has been acting. He has no way to control himself and lacks any kind of, you know, way to contain himself or to keep his composure. He really just can't do it. And that's typical Robert De Niro right now. I mean, he's basically like Mark Hamill, if not worse. So, in conclusion, the WB execs have zero trust in De Niro for acting professionally for any press tour, for any movie after that, of course, what happened at Lionsgate, and after what they witnessed happened at Lionsgate, and how it deeply impacted Francis Coppola and even created some level of backlash for Megalopolis. Now look guys, when you look at Megalopolis, totally separate issue by the way, Lionsgate really did not like the fact that De Niro did what he did. They are very furious with him, and I would not be too shocked if Lionsgate is going to be the next studio to write De Niro off the list for any future involvement. I would not be too shocked there. We'll have to wait and see. But what's interesting about De Niro is that, yeah, he always plays the blame game train. I mean, this what comes well after the fact of, you know, his recent comments about Joker 2 and how it's all about these angry fans that created the outrage and why Joker 2 is not doing well at the box office. No, the true reason has a lot to do with the fact that this is just a very poor movie. It's a sequel that did not need to be made. It feels so disassociated from the first film. As much as I really do not like the first movie, I've been very honest with you all about that for the longest time ever. I gotta say, this sequel did not need to be made, and if anything, it kinda makes things worse for the first film, because for people that never watched any of them, they're not gonna want to even give the first film a chance. Well, at the end of the day, we know that De Niro is not having a good time regardless after losing an opportunity for Joker 3, since Joker 3 is not happening at all now. But overall, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.